Dear jury, dear members of FIG, welcome to our presentation, National Federations Insight, a global snapshot of gymnastics, which we did together with FIG, the International Gymnastics Federation. Talking a bit about FIG, they were founded in 1889 and they are the oldest established federation within the Olympic Games. Many of you might have watched some gymnastics last month at the Paris 2024 Olympics. And as you could have seen there, it's still very exciting, breathtaking, and the stadium was always full. So in a good position. FIG governs these different disciplines. They are very large ones, such as artistic gymnastics for men's and women's, but also some newer sports, such as parkour. Looking where FIG is, they are spread out all over the world. Overall, there are 162 national federations on all of the continents, from very small ones to very large ones, such as the US. When looking at our project objectives we had at the beginning of the year, when we got approached and started with our project, it was first of all to provide proactive procedures for FIG, that they can generate more insights and get to understand their members. Another one is really to do and to create a collaborative environment. Further, like on one side, internally for FIG with all their different departments, and on the outside, they're in regards to being more collaborative with all their different members, from ones who have bigger needs and ones who have smaller needs, as there are many differences. Lastly, we also had a quantitative goal, which is to reach an 80% feedback. So the data we gathered, the NF insights, FIG really can work with it and do pointed interventions.
So now we'll be looking at an overview of the steps taken to complete this project before going into more detail for each of the steps. So the project was divided into three main phases. The first phase involved building the foundation for this project. So this involved researching and benchmarking our different software options, identifying the FIG's needs, developing the questionnaire, as well as the communication strategy. The second phase was more of an implementation phase. This involved inputting the questionnaire into the chosen software, as well as working the design and the logic for it to work really well, translating it into 9 different languages, as well as, sorry about that, testing it with the different FIG internal departments, as well as continental unions, before getting the sign-off from all of the stakeholders and going live with the questionnaire. The third phase was the implementation of the communication strategy. So this involved follow-up emails and phone calls to all national federations to firstly ensure that they were adequately supported if they had any questions to fill out the questionnaire, but also to reach the highest response rate possible. Now, looking at assessing which software would be best, the team developed this set of criteria to be able to see which software would fit our project needs best, both from our user point of view, but also from the federation's point of view, replying to our software, to our questionnaire. It was really important that the chosen software met all of these criteria or provided an easy workaround to be able to meet those. Here, you can see the softwares that were assessed for this project. These were provided by the FIG team or researched by the AISTS team based off of industry standards and commonly used softwares in sporting federations. All information, research, and resources were compiled into an Excel spreadsheet, as you can see here, based off of each criteria needed. This was really important so that the entire team could familiarize themselves with all of the options and come down to their final 2, which were Qualtrics and Alchemy. These were then presented to the FIG International Relations Department as well as IT team. Following that, demo calls were organized with both of those companies to get more information about the software, how it works, and really if it fit our needs. The FIG team had the final say on which software we're going to use, and they went with Alchemy. So not only did Alchemy meet all of our criteria, which was really amazing, but furthermore, what was really important was that it had an amazing customer support. This was really important given the amount of time we had to be able to onboard the team onto the software and start using it. Having the customer support was important for that, but also to troubleshoot any issues we might have during the project. Furthermore, what made Alchemist stand out was its potential beyond the scope of this study in terms of a management tool. So this allowed FIG to test it with a tangible project and potentially use it beyond within their federation.
So before starting the project, it was really important for us to get to know the best practices from professionals in the industry that have done similar projects in the past. That's why we contacted Lilia Varieva, Education and Cultural Director at FISU, and Bertrand Fincourt from the same department. And the three most important key takeaways from this is formulate efficient questions and avoid bias in the phrasing. The second one, do a short questionnaire to avoid survey fatigue and increase the response rate. And the third one, have a clear data recompilation process to extract meaningful information. So now that we know this, we need to start developing the NF insights. We did it in 3 clear steps. The first one, and the most important one, was having meetings with the FIG's 7 internal departments. Why? We wanted to get them to meet them personally, get them to know the objectives and the advantages they could get out of it, and for them to be active collaborating on the project. The second one was developing the document itself that we divided into the sections according to the departments, and just asking specific questions to extract the information they wanted for this year. For this, we created an active feedback loop with internal areas, but also the Ethic Gymnastics Foundation and the continental unions that were really important in our support. And finally, we had to develop in parallel a communication strategy with the FIG team to set out key dates, the frequency and the channels we were going to be contacting the member federations. So now that we know it, we need to implement it. First one, and the easy one, is uploading the questionnaire into the software. The second one, and taking advantage of the multicultural team we translated it into 9 different languages, such as Spanish, German, French, etc. Also with the support of some members of FIG for Arabic and Portuguese, and DeepL as a survey translation tool. The third one and the most fun one was the creative part, doing the logo, look and feel, colors, but also the logic that the survey needed to follow inside the platform, the type of questions they needed to answer inside it. The fourth one, we needed to do a test run with internal areas for them to know how it worked and for us to correct minor details before signing it off. That was the 5th step. This one was an horizontal approval from all internal areas, but it also went up to a strategic management on FIG to sign it off and for us to go live. Then one of our objectives is getting a high response rate. So what do we need? A clear follow-up strategy that we divided in 2 sections of 2-week splits. The first one were automatic emails sent directly from Alchemist to all the member federations for them to respond the questionnaire. And the second one, a more proactive one, was each of us in the team divided into splits in the morning and in the afternoon to target all the different time zones of the member federations and help them personalize assistance, calling them for them to help them answer the questionnaire and the insights project. And lastly, when the project was done, we just gave an extra week to the partially completed member federations for them to answer all the missing information.
Now we will show findings and recommendations from this project. We have 3 findings, and one of them is the establishment of a repeatable process. The development of a questionnaire will serve as a basic tool for future years. And this questionnaire is designed to be adaptable and allowing to refine it based on the strategy. And Alchema is a strategic platform for data analysis and management. It provides FIG with the flexibility to explore different data and generate values of insights. And so it has proven invaluable for supporting not only this project, also future projects. And then proactive and repeatable approach to gathering NF insights involves a carefully planned methodology with clear targets, phase, approach, and communication strategy. So it ensures that the project is executed efficiently and effectively, while maintaining strong engagement with the federations. Next, response rate. So the project aimed to achieve 80% response rate from the national federations. We successfully hit 82% thanks to the effective communication strategy. Initially, the response rate was very low. And after the first reminder mail, we saw little change. So we intensified our efforts with personalized follow-up emails, phone calls from FIG office. So it is a green period. So apart from that, in the final week, last push with reminders and phone calls helped us reach our targets. It is a blue line, blue period on the graph. Apart from that, the FIG connections to continental unions helped boost our response rate by encouraging participation. This project demonstrated the power of planned and adaptive communication strategy. And finally, last finding is feedback and collaboration. So this project received positive feedback from most national federations. They appreciated the opportunity to participate and felt supported by FIG. And they think this project to be a valuable monitoring tool and a means for self-reflection on progress towards their goals. At the same time, this project helped them to identify weakness and strengths and area for improvements, identified the ability to view entire questionnaire beforehand for better preparation. And also giving an overview will be helpful. Regarding federation size, big federations first work with another department to complete was one of the biggest challenges. On the other hand, small federation felt assistance from FIG due to the limited workforce.
Coming now to the recommendations we gave to FIG. First of all, we suggest to make this exercise a yearly process. One approach would be to make it mandatory and include that into their statutes. Through the various interviews we had and with the people we spoke to, many other national federations or governing bodies already have this process within their statutes, which then automatically tightens up the response rates, such as World Athletics. Their constant repetition also would engage the members way more together with FIG, who sits here in Lausanne. With this NF Insights project, they have a chance to really speak to all of their 162 member federation. Another point is that FIG is keeping up to date, as many of the smaller federations where sometimes there is only one person who does the job on a voluntary basis, there won't be getting updates if there are any changes within federations. And lastly, FIG could provide through the yearly process the better interventions. So when they get the feedback that the federation needs help, that can really be addressed through that. And not that only FIG is getting in contact with federations when there is an issue. So there is a constant exchange. Coming now to our second recommendation, the team. This was now a first project launch for FIG, where they collaborated with us, which was a great opportunity for us. But as you or many of you might know, we will be soon to be graduated, and there might not or will not be a transfer of knowledge. Thereby, when there are within FIG some specific members which are experts in project management, know their way around digital solutions, and also are keen and known how to work with databases, that would be very, very helpful. As a last point, language skills and cultural awareness, where we had the great opportunity with all of our mother tongues or our second language, we literally could cover all of the globe. Coming now to our third recommendation, Alchemir. It was for us, for this project, a really useful tool. FIG also really has their a long perspective, a long view to work with it. We already saw that they launched some smaller further projects, so it was not only for the NF Insight, but also for some other projects. Even more, it's possible to use it as a project management tool, so they can also collaborate within their different departments together on the platform. All of that should lead to really stakeholder engagement. Alchemir makes it quite easy to really get to access a lot of national federation at the same time with almost one click. Lastly, invest in team training, as it is a new platform. First of all, we thought like it could be something more difficult, but it doesn't need really a lot of time to put in, just in the beginning. From that, Alchemir is very helpful by providing tutorials and sessions to clients who use Alchemir. Furthermore, there are videos on their website or even YouTube. Last but not least, talking about the design. For a future project, we would recommend to reduce the number of questions. We already knew from the beginning there is survey fatigue within FIG, within all of their member federation, which could be seen by previous similar projects they did, but much smaller. Thereby, we wanted really to avoid the survey fatigue. On the other side, for a first step, we really needed a lot of information, and thereby, together with FIG, we decided in the end, as it's a first-year approach, we'll include them. Furthermore, a segmented distribution, which will be also possible in the future, such as only approaching continental federations or geographic locations such as only Northern Europe or even on a language base. The last point, advance notice and preparation, was really important for us. We first thought, yeah, should we do like a communication strategy? We decided in the end to do a communication strategy, and we really saw already people didn't answer us back initially, but when we had them on the call, almost everyone was aware of it. So we already before the launch sent within the FIG newsletter, provided them information, and even there was a statement about it from the FIG president that FIG needs the feedback. To conclude, we want to show you a short statement what this NF Insight already did. The impact it had in their FIG bulletin. They announced and published last month for the upcoming Congress in Doha. They already mentioned that they are very pleased with that information, and they are confident that this report will help them go further. Now it's for us time to really thank Diogo from FIG for the effort he put in, for the insights we got, and this unique chance to get that in-depth view into FIG. And thank you very much, jury, for listening to us. Thank you everyone sitting here in the room and online.
Thank you. Congratulations to the group. Thank you very much. We are now going to move to the question and answers. As a tradition, we hand over the first question to the client. Diogo, Charlotte, I don't know who wants to go first.
Yeah, as I was saying, all the questions we had to raise, we raised them before and we addressed them. So I don't have any special question regarding the presentation. I think it summarizes very well the journey. Well done for that. Now just give us a feedback, what worked well And what were, of what you shared here, the main blockages you faced that we could work on?
As a team, maybe we think that the main blockages to fix for the future would be, as Patrick said, having a team dedicated just to this Insights project, because we're already seeing the impact it has for you and for all the 5G and all the external stakeholders involved in it. Also, at the beginning, it was a bit difficult getting to use for us a new survey platform that we need to get accustomed to. And the missing information that we had to discover throughout the process of the member federations not having updated their telephones, their emails, maybe not speaking their language and calling them and having to find a way to help them. So I think starting from this point and making it constantly, it will help have this closer relationship with all the member federations for you to give them better assistance. And as a whole, we think it's a product that should stay for a constant process for you in the 5G.
Thank you. Do you want to bounce on this or you're good with it? Then members of the jury, the floor is yours. I don't know who wants to take the first question.
Go first. Yes. Yeah, I'm the last to arrive, so I'll start first. Thank you very much for the presentation and congratulations for the month of May. I think that would have been a very stressful month. When you see the numbers of respondents, and then so good on you for trying to push and to get these people to respond and to get to those numbers. I have a few questions on this. You talk a lot about survey fatigue as a key principle or element that is problematic in these things. Can you define what survey fatigue is? Because you mentioned it a lot, but I'm not really sure what you presently mean by it.
Yeah, or like survey fatigue, or especially as we have it now, or the situation now within FIG, it was that throughout the last years, there were many surveys made, where as presented by him from all the 8 different departments, each department did their individual presentation, or not presentation, did their individual survey. And like every department or every survey was made with another tool, which was done with other people, and sometimes not sent to all of them, only specific countries or national federations. And then the feedback was also, why did they got it and we couldn't answer it? Or there were also issues with member federations who couldn't access the survey. So that was also something we initially looked, that it works in every country and everyone has access. And overall it was just really seen the feedback went down, down and down. And from when you had a look at recent surveys, the response rate was quite low. And far away from the 83% which we reached out. But as you mentioned, the week of May, when we went for 2 and 3 weeks straight into their office for doing the calls with a morning and an afternoon session. So yeah.
Yeah, good. So to follow up on that, I mean, what are the key elements what can you do to avoid survey fatigue? And you've presented some of them, but this is a bit that I was lacking a little bit in the methodology of your report.
I would say on one side, good communication. Then the second thing is really to keep it short, because people don't want to get the send the survey, open it, and then there is the time bar which doesn't go forward, so that they see there is zero progress. And another very important point is to give them feedback and provide them the results of this survey, because that's also something we heard a lot. They said, we fill out every half a year, or every year we fill something out, we send it to Switzerland, but we never heard something back. And
I think that last point is really important, and I think you could have emphasized that a bit more in the strategy and the recommendations. The incentives are really probably well correlated to how much feedback and relevance they get from that feedback. So And that's a point to put up there, probably.
Any other question from the jury? Professor Bain?
Congratulations for your work, and I think it's a typical work and topic for International Federation of the size of the field. So it's very important to be connected with professionalization level of National Sports Federation. So I was surprised that you do not use this word professionalization, because there is a great heterogeneity, and regarding what you are doing, challenge is to have a better professionalization and better homogeneity, maybe with knowledge sharing programs, for example, like the case for UEFA or the federation. So, and I was surprised that you don't present the result of the questionnaire, because it's also very interesting to have an overview about the situation of the National Federation regarding this professionalization.
Essentially, so we, at the end of this project, we did create a full report with the result of the questionnaire that was provided to the FIG, and that was then shared with the various departments and then federations. However, for the purpose of this project, and for confidentiality reasons, these weren't shared within our written report or the presentation today. But these were definitely really beneficial to all the different departments, and also to send that back to the federations. But like you said, for FIG in that professionalization side, to understand all of their different national federations and structures, because it varies a lot depending on the countries and how much they're developed. And that's really important for them to be able to provide a better support and understanding for these different federations.
And what about the role of the continental federations regarding the role of the FIG and in between the national federations? So what is your opinion, and what is your recommendation for the continental federation to help and support this professionalization process of the national federation?
Well, the continental unions here played a really great role in helping us. It was part of the strategy since the beginning, getting them involved. So we did the project with Diogo, and then we contacted them, and they were the ones also pushing for the national federations to answer the NF Insight survey. So it's really important to keep this communication channel that we opened in this first project with them, so the information can be channeled down from the top to the bottom, and then all the member federations can get all these feedback and benefits of participating in a project like this, and little by little they can create more advantages where they are needed. But I think it was a great example of how, with one small project for a new area within FIG, we got everyone involved, from continental unions all the way to all the member federations, and this should be a continuity for the next years.
Yeah, I thank you for the presentation. The scope of the work is really on, let me say, really on this process, starting from selection of the software, up to how you really administer the surveys and gather the data. I had the question on, and this was not clear to me. How can you check, did you check for the quality of the information that is gathered? Because you have worked a lot on the response rate, which is often a good indication of, okay, we are getting representativeness, but what is the quality of the information that you have gathered, how you have, which measure you have put in place?
Yeah, or talking about that, because that was also for us a point, especially in the beginning, because the first completion incoming we received within like 48 hours. But there it was just like nothing filled in, or just put a 0 in, that they completed and get okay. So in the end, the percentage we reached here are like with fully completed feedback we got. We got some more, and also within like the last week of the project.
So the call that you made, they were going in this direction.
Also like in this direction, that it wasn't like completed despite being on the status, completed, and they thought, yeah, they have done everything. They haven't sometimes fill out even half of the information FIG needed, and or
What
we.
about open question or response biases? How could you put in place something to check for the quality of what is written there, or anyway mitigate response biases? Because that's what you might have that can impair the quality of the information you get. On the other side, you do a lot of effort to get everything complete, which is one of measure of quality, but the quality of information also relies on really if what is being provided, let me say, is true or anyway comes from a reasoning or objective data, right? Not always you can really be sure of it, right? But you can put in place maybe some measures that goes in this direction, that go in this direction.
No,
I don't know if you
absolutely.
have made some,
So a fully kind of objective and no response bias obviously is not,
of
you know,
course,
it's possible, but what we
yeah.
did put in place, so as in the presentation, we had the meetings with our academic help Bertrand Fingo, which already on the first hand helped us form the questions in a way
Okay.
to avoid response bias at a maximum possible.
Okay,
We avoided open questions where possible to avoid this bias. And when we did have open questions, we would also provide definitions for certain
okay,
words or concepts like safeguarding, which not everyone has the same definition in all of the different countries. So we would provide extra information, definitions, explanation to really reduce that response bias as maximum as possible. But then open questions were treated as such as kind of an individual basis. So you can also take it into context of which federation provided which open question in that sense.
so perfect, and anyway, in the written report, this is way more elaborated, what you have, of course, provided today. But I think since the scope of your presentation also is really on this process, this survey process, you might have also emphasized this a little bit more also when you present to the public. I think this is very, because it's one of the key important pillar that makes the responses that you get really to be considered reliable, right? So this is also the other, one of the other dimensions to discuss about in detail. Another thing which is it's a little bit more, not say provocative, but maybe it's outside a little bit the scope. But did you reason in terms of other ways to facilitate the sharing of this information instead of using survey?
I mean, other ways of gathering the data instead of using a survey.
Other ways can be for FIG very important, or let me say powerful, not important, powerful to facilitate the gathering of this information instead of relying on survey. Anyway, surveys have limitations. And over time, for instance, the survey fatigue, over time, it's even more severe. That's the thing, right? So how can you guarantee in some ways, did you reason about alternative solutions?
Or looking at that, I wouldn't say we really had a look into that, because or when we look to Diogo, it was a loss.
The scope was defined.
Like on one side, the scope was like this. This department within FIG, this nationals for being in charge for the national federations, is something newly founded. It's not even a year old as far as or a year old now as far as I'm aware of, and that was like just the, how do you say, the initial start of it, the initial approach to launch something. And also, or when we look then at how many members there are, and we really wanted on one side to include all members, and also we really wanted to include all departments within FIG, because that's something which until now haven't happened, that from all the departments, they like work at least together.
In my opinion, survey can be extremely powerful in an initial, it can also be midterm phase. But you cannot rely on service forever. At a certain moment, you need to rely on technology that facilitate integrations of systems. And so to guarantee that at a certain moment you can have access to that data. You know, then you enter in politics and so on. I know perfectly. And management complexity, so I look at Joe. But let me say, we have multiple examples from the industry that show this, right? So you cannot rely on survey. You have to, at a certain point, survey gives you not efficient data because and it becomes too costly. So, but anyway,
So
it could be
essentially-
5 years from now. I'm not saying.
That's something that can be done with AISTS. So this was the first round to gather that information, but we can, and that was kind of an idea, I suppose, for the future for FIG, to be able also for a lot of the data, which is just kind of people's emails, who's into what position, they can update that in real time throughout the year to kind of have that updated database of documents to avoid big surveys every year.
And if I may bounce on Giovanni's, one of the things
You must.
we discussed the most is that this was not a survey. We use the survey platform to collect data, but this is not a survey.
You don't
So-
want this to become a survey.
It's a report,
understand.
it was communicated always as a report, yeah. And I don't know.
Any final question from the jury? We still have time for one question. Maybe, I don't know, Diogo, any final word you want to say to the team?
Thank you. I think, like they put here, it was, I feel like I was part of a transformational journey internally. Because it is a first, like Patrick was saying, it was the first thing done as a new area at FIG. So a lot of the comments that are made, this now allows us to check quality of responses, right? Because now we have a baseline to go back to in check. So this provides us a number of different paths we can explore, and it provides us with the support we need internally to consolidate this as a process. So I'm appreciative of the team's support and presence all throughout, and I'm very happy how they managed to engage internally at FIG with every function in a place that culturally needed that. So, yeah, so I thank you very much for this.
Thank you, Diogo.
And thank you to you, because without the client, we would not have a project. So I think it's which was.
If I might just say the last thing, because you stressed the idea that now you can also start to check on the quality. I totally agree with this. And since the work that you have done, it's methodological. In part of your work is methodology, right? So how you design a methodology and that help the clients to get the data that is needed. Talking about the quality, probably you could have rely on a little bit on, of course, I know that you could, for confidentiality reason, you could not share it, but leveraging on the result, at least in some way, to show that as compared to what was the history of data, now you can get a lot of more, pervasive information on specific dimension. You have way more, all these things could have helped to improve how methodology lead to improve quality. Okay. And I think this part is not always super clear in the report, in my opinion, but anyway.
Or just to add to this, because it's also a part we had in it, but in the end, it was literally decided to take
But
everything out and.
Without using the data,
Mhm.
you could have just used the way or some way to describe what you could obtain, what you have obtained thanks to having this new, more richer set of information. So I think that you could have used in that way, without revealing any data that is confidential.